did. I wanted to ask you now. The trip from New York
Yeah.
to ending up at Ginger Hill.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah. It was a really magical kind of trans, transformational time in my life. I was kind of like putting some things down, moving away from some older things, and really just kind of like trying to explore. And so then coming out here, I had found this place. I met some really amazing, beautiful people, but I just really wasn't going in the trajectory that I wanted to, as far as like really learning about like farming in the land. And so then, luckily, through some serendipitous situations, I had met Mayumi and Danya and some of the main players in this place. And they invited me to come on, and I was kind of absolutely astounded. I mean, you walk around this space and it's just beauty pretty much everywhere. And you know, the amount of knowledge that like Mayumi and Zach, Iris, just so many people here, they're all polymaths. You know, they know so many things about so many different things. It's just like, yeah, I honestly feel very blessed to have ended up here. I was not expecting that. So.
And what about lifestyle changes, like diet, awareness of food,
Yeah,
like how you view food now?
yeah, yeah. So if I'm being honest, I'm not the most conscious of my diet. I probably do a little bit more indulging than I should or could. But yeah, just to be able to kind of like, well, so one, like the knowledge surrounding so many different things is like, you know, I know one thing coming from the mainland is like, you just see hands of bananas in the store, and it's like, oh, the bananas just come from the store. Then to like get acquainted with like the tree and how it grows in that process, like having all of that kind of like extra knowledge around here is absolutely amazing. So to really see things kind of come up and get used to that process of you know, all that time and care that goes into something, and then to actually like, you know, consume it and get that nourishment is just absolutely amazing. And for myself too, being around these phenomenal cooks and having meals like that, where it's like I'll literally be out there all morning, or you know, obviously we take turns, but you know, you're out there, you're harvesting these things, you bring them into the kitchen, and then you like watch what then the end product is. You're like, I didn't know that Ulu could do that, or I didn't know that, you know, you could do X with Y. It's yeah, it's really amazing, especially the knowledge that they have. I mean, I'm okay every so often, but I'm no chef like them, that's for sure.
I'm curious if there's like one of these jungle fruits that particularly have impressed you.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Durian, I would say.
What is that?
Durian. I think durian's actually been like banned in certain airports because the aroma is so strong. It's like it smells like kind of like something's like rotting or something's like very off. But then the flavor can be like it's almost like a sweet onion. Kind of has that kind of flavor, and the texture is like a custardy thing, and it looks like a dinosaur egg. Like when you look at it, yeah. And I've actually heard that it can actually kill people because the trees can grow very tall, and when one of those things falls, they're pretty large and heavy. It's hard to get through that skin.
What made you interested in this type of lifestyle? So I would be curious more like, what'd you give up? What were you expecting?
Yeah.
And what'd you get?
What I gave up to come out here and kind of do this is I kind of like let my family do what they like are always going to do and what they always want to do, and like live in a city, like do, you know, kind of be in that environment, which is something that just never like meshed with me. So that's one thing that recently I was asked, like, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? You know, people are always expecting, oh, I'd go to Guatemala, I'd go do this thing. What's up, Danny? Hey, good to see you. And what I had answered was I would go back home and be with my family. So, you know, that is definitely something that is difficult to kind of say, like, I want to live closer to the land. I want to live that lifestyle. I want to live in an environment like this where like I'm constantly, you know, learning different things about how to be with the land, you know, how to live in community and things. Is like I know that they're always going to be back there, and that just wasn't an environment that I could be in. So I definitely feel as if I've given that up, but not like obviously it's always there. You know, it's not something that you can't break that bond, but I do miss it, and I miss them. Yeah, but then like to gain this like different existence, you know, is absolutely amazing. I mean, and people just you can't put a price on it. And you know, when people come and they have this experience with us, you know, like whether it's interns or it's somebody to come visit, and they're like, "This is your life," and I'm like, "Yeah," like it's kind of magical, day in and day out.
Do you feel this is like a like a learning compound? Like
Mm,
you're going to take this knowledge and it's going to grow elsewhere,
mm,
or is this like your new permanent lifestyle?
mm.
You know, I'm curious. Like is this a stopover? Is this a life changer? Like, I'm curious where you're at in your life now, because
Yeah,
Gingerhill might have informed that, and where you came from, New York, and now you're like, I'm Christian. Here I am today, and I'm looking at, I don't know. You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah, so that is always still a constant question, if I'm being honest, that I am asking myself. I think that one thing too about here that I find is just so special, is that well, one, I mean, you know, I can still consistently like learn, and hopefully then ultimately like push towards like expanding that, or like helping others, you know, in certain like farming techniques or what have you. But then I also too think that like doing this thing and having people come and kind of like witness what we do frequently on a daily basis, you know, get a kind of taste of what we're up to here. Those make such like lasting impacts, and even sometimes, you know, we have people come in for a week, we have people come in for 2 weeks, a month, a couple months. Like they take this experience, they take the times that they shared with us, the meals that they had, you know, and they spread that. So like, you know, sometimes we think like sometimes it's difficult to see that impact because people go, you know, but then sometimes they tell their friends, and their friends come. Sometimes they, you know, they get more people interested.
Do you feel it's kind of like a duty now? Like, because you've learned this, is to kind of, I don't know, I want to say like an apostle or a witness of this lifestyle in a way. You know, I don't want to say it's religious, but I mean, in a way now, are you one of the apostles of farming, you know, organic farming?
Yeah, yeah. Absolutely not. I I I think that ultimately, like if I was gonna kind of like consider myself in that way, it would just be that like I'm gonna continue to walk in this direction as best as I can, hoping that then, you know, people would, you know, I maybe won't even have to say anything, but like maybe people would see like, oh, he made this choice. Oh, why did he do that? Why is he picking up every little piece of garbage that he sees like around in the street, or like things like that? Where I think that like, you know, if anything that I'm doing can then like maybe inspire somebody else, or, you know, maybe the stories that I can tell from this place. But I'm definitely, yeah, I think if anything, I wouldn't necessarily be kind of in that space where I felt comfortable to kind of like talk to people, or maybe kind of like preach in some sort of way. But I would just try and walk a path that maybe somebody else might say like, you know what, I want to do that too. Like, what is it about?
What's your favorite thing about Hawaii?
You cannot beat like the landscape, and literally you can't, like in the entire world. I think this is the only space that has like so many different climate zones. So you know, that's amazing. I've heard people tell stories of like you can go up Mauna Kea and gather a bunch of snow and make a bunch of snowballs and put it in a cooler, and then drive down to the beach in that same day and have a snowball fight on the beach. So like yeah, yeah, exactly. So in that way, you know, that magic of just the island and how many different looks you can get at the world and the different zones is, yeah, you can't beat it.
Have you had trouble living in the community? Tell me about that. I
Com-
guess this would be challenges at Ginger Hill, right? Living in community?
yeah, yeah,
Tell me.
yeah, of course. So you become like it's like you know, family dynamic. It's like, you know, anybody could ask themselves that question. Oh, did I ever bicker with my parents? Did I ever bicker with my siblings? Or great friendships? Do you ever bicker with those people? It's always present, and especially when you're sharing space with people. Now you're talking about, does my music bother that individual? Does this? Does that? And when there's not as much separation, when you're together so much, it's like either people are conscious in many different ways. So like whereas like I've had many roommates over the years, even prior to coming here. I've lived with a lot of different people, and it's like you still get into get into fights over like the dishes or something like that. So some people are like, oh, I'm super conscious of that. I'm very on top of it. Whereas other people are very laissez-faire about certain things, and that it's just people. But yeah, so community is really difficult. It definitely is, but it's like if you want to be in that space, and you want to be flexible and like be a part of something that's like really special. It's doable, but I guess it's like that cliche of like anything that's like worth it is going to be relatively difficult. So yes, community living can be quite frustrating
And
and magical.
right, I was gonna ask about the flip side of that. Do you feel like you have a tribe here you belong to, or a location you belong to?
Yeah, yeah, without a doubt. It's really special to cultivate those relationships with people, and I think that is most of the time what people consider, oh, like living in community, working on a farm. You get to know everybody, and it really is. It is magic. We have a scale crew here that it's like I will always have love for those people. As far as the universe may take me elsewhere, like it won't change that.
You work here and you live here.
Yeah,
So when you come home here,
yeah,
what's the feeling? Is it a warm, good feeling when you come home? Or most of the time? Or
yeah. Sometimes that is really difficult. Working and living in the same space is not an easy thing to do. Sometimes, for instance, like I'll be walking down to my space and I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. Oh yeah, I gotta take care of that. Oh yeah, that needs maintenance. Oh man, okay. And before I even hit my bed, I've already thought about the 25 things that I have been in the back of my head or something. So sometimes when you don't have that kind of oh, I punched out, now I'm gonna drive back home, and then I'm just like not even gonna think about work. Don't really have that, which it can be frustrating. It's also really nice. It keeps you kind of like conscious about the things that you want to do or have to get done. But yeah, that I have found that to be quite stressful, honestly. Yeah, there's beauty in it as well. But yeah, initially just the stressful factor came up. I'm seeing like 35 things that I have to do just in this space right now.
are you happy here? And yes or no, why?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I am. I am happy here. I think that does come from kind of you know, like we discussed tribe, and there's actually this amazing book by Sebastian Unger called Tribe, and it talks about like people's happiness based on feeling like they have a purpose within like a unit. And don't quote me on that, but anyway, so the idea of feeling like you're a part of something and a part of a community and a part of like, well, if I, say if I fall down today, like there's always going to be somebody that's there to kind of like pick me up. It's that camaraderie that you can build in this space that really is a very special thing. And again, we had discussed like there are difficulties in community, and sometimes it's difficult, and nobody's happy all the time. So, but yeah, to be a part of something like this, it really does feel special. It feels like there's a purpose behind it, and even if it's not the rest of my life for me, it's still, I do feel like I'll always feel nourished by the memories that I've made here and the time that I've spent with the people here. So that, I mean, yeah, that definitely speaks to happiness, I would say.